how would you like to make your first million? And today we have Ben Wiener with us, and Ben is a venture capitalist and managing partner at Jump Speed Ventures. He has invested in dozens of startups, presentations, and strategy. Is author of fiction thrillers, Murder at First Principles, and the number one bestseller, Fever Pitch. Ben bring businesses, strategy, concepts, and principles to life through storytellings and make investment education both enlightening and entertaining. So Ben, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend tech entrepreneurs in order to get to the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
First of all, I'm grateful for you having me on. I love the energy level of your podcast. It's fantastic. So we'll dive right in. I think that a tech entrepreneur needs to have a number of things that are unusual, that are different than a typical entrepreneur. Startups are crazy, startups are hard, and you need a number of these things, but I'll focus on 5 that I think every startup entrepreneur must have. Number 1, you need to identify very clearly a pain or an opportunity that is current or in the near future. So some either aspirin or vitamin, pain or opportunity, problem or opportunity. It needs to be very clear, and you need to be able to articulate what that problem or opportunity is. Number 2, you need to do enough of an analysis of what the current solutions are for that pain so that you have an answer to why the world needs something new. There's no commandment to start a new startup. In fact, most of them fail. So you better have a very good analysis of why, even though there's this pain or opportunity that you've identified, why there isn't an adequate solution for that pain or opportunity. And then the third thing you need is just a game-changing, unbelievable, innovative product that's going to answer that pain or opportunity. So those are the first 3, and that relates to the product and the market. The other 2 relate to the founder, him or herself. So there are a number of different ways to slice these 2 things, but I would say, number 1, you need to have like the subjective and the objective qualities of a crazy tech entrepreneur. The objective things are, do you have the skills and the ability or the partners to design, build, and sell this innovative new product? The subjective part is the fun part, and this is where you really need to do a psychological self-analysis and say, am I ready for this roller coaster journey? Do I have the passion and the partial craziness that an entrepreneur needs to make a dent in the universe? And those are harder to spot as an investor. But if you are that entrepreneur, if you have that virus or that entrepreneurial disease where you just are motivated to bring something new into the world, you know that you have it. And I love meeting with entrepreneurs who are infected with that desire to change the world through their product. And usually you know it when you see it. If you're the kind of entrepreneur that's taking half-hour showers and you don't remember that the water's running, or you're walking into poles on the street because you can't stop thinking about your idea, that's a pretty good indication that you might be onto something and it might be worth pursuing.
Pitching to investors, the biggest challenge that we have in the tech space, Ben, I think that the industry has been a little bit deceiving, because back on the day from the .com, these VCs, they used to write a check for $1 million dollars to tech entrepreneurs just with a piece of paper idea, right? It was crazy, and there is a kind of false stereotypes when I speak with the tech founders, right? I say, guys, you think that the investors are stupid? You think that you're gonna go there with just a story? And they said, no, Harry, tech is different. We have this, and we need $1 million. We need 2 million. We want to develop this. They're asking a lot of time with millions, and they haven't developed at least MVP, and yet they didn't even know that nobody had paid them yet $1, and then they are out there frustrated looking for funding, And then they come and they complaining to me, Harry, I'm stop with already talked with hundreds of VCs and angel, and nobody want to invest in me, and all they make the life purpose to keep looking for funding for funding. So what are the secret sauce, Ben, of tech startup founders to have, number one, the right pitch, and number two, become attractive to investors? Because the investors only have a small period of time. They are not stupid. They probably exited the company before you, and the process that you're going through, they already been probably more than one time. That's the reason why they're wealthy. And yet you find maybe it's a little bit of naivety, right? But we find people pitching to investors projects and things that kind of insulting for the investor. Like people think that millions of dollars they are stupid. So can you add to this?
Yeah, so let's put something in perspective. So there are different kinds of investors. I happen to be a very early stage, what we call an inception stage investor. So I actually am managing a venture capital fund. I've been given money by lots of very wealthy families and companies to find exactly what you're describing. That person with a story, they have no product, they don't have any revenue, they just have a story.
Wow, we're talking about very early, eh?
Yeah,
Very early, man.
what I call, two people, a dog, and an idea in a garage. And there are investors like me who are only looking for those kind of opportunities. We want to be the first investor in the company. There's not even a company.
Wow, very rare, right?
There believe that there is a methodology for picking those kind of opportunities, and there is, relative to your question, there's a way to pitch those things to make them interesting to an investor, where even if you have nothing other than just a plan and a partner and an idea, that could be the next, billion-dollar business. And there are people like me who will write that check for $1 million or $2 million to get you started. So what do you need in order to get somebody like me to give you that check? That's really the question.
Wow, Ben, this is about to become interesting. I'm dying here.
Okay. So uh, different investors will have different answers. I wrote an entire book, which became, as you said, a number one bestseller about what is that pitch? What is the perfect pitch for to somebody like me that will get somebody like me to take action and write a check to a new startup. And I believe that there is a framework, an optimal framework to positioning that presentation, to structuring that presentation that will make it more likely to resonate with an investor. Obviously, I can't guarantee that clearly not every pitch is going to get money from an investor. What I'm saying is if you use this framework, it's an automatic upgrade. It's like being upgraded from economy to business class. It's going to make your pitch more interesting and engaging to an investor. It's going to give it a better chance of getting the money from the investor. And it's going to give the entrepreneur more of a feeling of power and control over their presentation because it's structured logically and it's structured the way we humans have been processing new information for thousands of years. So it's very innovative in our space, but it's not innovative in terms of human psychology. In fact, it's based heavily on human psychology, the science of storytelling, the way we write novels, the way we write movie scripts, the way we tell our stories when we're around the water cooler about what we did on our summer vacation. I'm just taking that framework and adapting to the tech startup pitch in order to help entrepreneurs have a better chance of getting somebody like me to write the check. So that's, we can drill into what that, what the is, why I wrote a 270-page novel to try to teach that, what other models I've produced for free to help founders. But that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to pitch my structure to entrepreneurs to say, here, use this. It's going to help you with people like me. It's going to make our lives easier as investors. It's going to make your life easier as an entrepreneur. It's going to give you a better chance of success. So why not try it out? So we go into that framework, but that's what I'm here to primarily to talk about today.
So Ben, even in the company's early stage, right? I only have sell the product only to one client.
Oh, you haven't even
Yeah.
built, you have not even written a line of code. You just have an idea about something that's broken in the world, and you believe that you and your team can build the thing that will fix it. That's where I want to get involved.
Wow.
And I
So,
will see 100 of those and
mhm.
invest in one. So the odds are like 1 in 100 to get somebody like me to write a check. And the question is, what causes me to do that for that one and filter out the 99 that I say no to? What is that magic formula? And I believe that there is a formula. So I'm here to talk about the formula.
Okay, tell us about the formula.
The formula. Okay. So the formula is similar to what I was talking about before, but I've made it really easy to remember. It's a 5-letter acronym called HEART, the heart of the perfect pitch. So it's easy to remember. And I'll through what each of those letters stands for. So the H is hypothesis or why, the start why, the famous Simon Sinek book and TED Talk.
Yeah, yeah.
I firmly believe that Sinek is completely right. And every great movement, every great company, every great revolution started with a leader. Your podcast is about leadership. Every great leader starts with why, not what they do or how they do it, but why they are doing what they're doing. As an entrepreneur, you are an evangelist. You are trying to get customers, investors, you're trying to get people who are not inclined to change what they do, to change what they do to follow your new path. So in order to do that, you have to start with why. Like why we care about this new piece of software or this new gadget or this new AI, application that you're developing. Whatever it is, why are you doing that? And that is the beginning of every pitch. So it's usually a we believe or I believe statement. If you watch the Simon Sinek TED Talk, I think he says the word believe or belief over
Mm-hmm.
30 times. I believe, we believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The pitch should the sentence at XYZ company, we believe, or I, Ben Wiener, believe that the pitch is broken. I believe that the startup pitch is fundamentally flawed, and
Because the
therefore,
investor had to believe what you believe, right?
correct. Now, I don't believe right away what
Mm-hmm.
but at least it has caused me to lean forward and start to say, okay, I understand this person believes in something. I'm going to either challenge them and show them why I believe what they believe, or I'm going to listen to see if I can believe it, or if I'm willing to at least listen to them for the next 20 minutes to see if I can believe what they believe. So you don't have to get the investor to believe within 10 seconds, but you have to indicate that you believe in something.
Exactly.
Right.
That
Okay.
you
So,
it's not a vision, Ben. It's a belief, right? And the
right.
investor need to see it right through the eye. That this is no, I have a. You see those page all over the. No, I have a. This is our mission. This is our vision, and it's all
Right.
very plain. Clearly, have to be articulated. Strong belief as a starting point. That
Right.
I agree with you.
There's a lot of templates for pitches that will tell you, and a lot of advisors that will tell you start off with a vision statement or start off with a mission statement. And I always yell at my portfolio company founders and say, no, 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 we have to start off with a belief statement. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit different. It's not a vision, it's not a mission,
Mm-hmm.
it's a challenge. We believe in something, and usually we believe that something is broken,
I
that
love
something.
it. I love it. I
So
love
that's
it.
easy. That's the phone of five. H, start hypothesis, start with why. Why do we care? Why are we doing this? This is what we believe in. And usually it's we believe that there's some sort of problem that is broken or some sort of opportunity that is untapped and needs to be addressed. Okay. Number two, E. E stands for enormous stakes. Okay, I can believe in something, but if it's very small, who cares? I believe in something and it's very big. The outcome, if I'm right, is huge. Size matters in investment. People like me need to invest in things that have a potentially big outcome for many different reasons. It's our business model. It's also those are the things that are likely to go far if they're a big opportunity or a big problem. So again, fortunately or unfortunately for entrepreneurs, you need to present it as something where there's a lot at stake, either a lot of human life or a lot of pain and suffering, or just a lot of money, a lot of lost revenue or expenses that are too bloated, whatever it is, it needs to be big, and that's the E. I believe that something is wrong, and there's a lot at stake. By the way, if you start to listen closely to what I'm saying, I'm basically describing a movie trailer. Like when we watch the 2-minute trailer to whatever, James Bond's next movie or Mission Impossible, they follow pretty much the same track where we see that there's something wrong, there's some drama, and we see that there's a lot at stake. There's bullets flying or people are falling off of buildings. There's a lot going on where we're drawn in because it's not just somebody playing a game of chess in the park. There's a lot at stake. There's humans involved. There's life and limb. There's drama. We need to bring that into our startup pitch. So I believe that something's wrong and there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of human life involved, disease, illness, whatever. That's two. Number three, the A, HEA. The A, before I even tell you what my solution is, we need to analyze the alternatives. A is alternatives are grossly inadequate. In order for me to convince you, if I'm the entrepreneur, in order for me, and you're the investor, Harry, in order for me to convince you that you should pay attention, I can describe a big problem and I can say there's a lot at stake. Your next question is going to be, okay, that's fine. But clearly there's close to 8 billion people on this planet. Some of them are pretty smart. I imagine that even if you're right, even if I believe you that there's a big problem and there's a lot at stake, certainly, surely somebody has that's at least adequately okay, because if it's such a big problem, somebody probably tried to figure it out. So I need to, even before I tell you what I plan to do, I need a quick survey for you of here's the big problem, there's a lot at stake, and here's all the ways quickly that humans or computers or companies have tried to address this problem, and they all stink. They're all terrible because of XYZ. This one has these problems. This one has this problem. It's not even necessarily competitors. It's just methods or approaches, all the different ways that civilization has tried to address this problem or opportunity are all terrible. And by now, if I've done that successfully, so only the fourth out of the five things is my solution. I've set you up so that you're practically begging me, like, please save us. Show me James Bond killing the villain. Show me Tom Cruise like saving the day. I need to be resolved. I'm like emotionally engaged now. And then we roll out number four, which is the R, the HER of the R is radically different solution. So it's not just enough to have a new solution. That solution has to be so wildly different that we as a small little company will have a chance to compete against everybody else because we have to be so different to attract people to what we're doing. We have to be incredibly differentiated. So it's not just I have a heroic, I'm introducing my hero in number four in the R. My hero is the radically differentiated solution, just the hero who's riding in on his white horse and he is suddenly able to slay the dragon because only he has the magic sword. Only I've figured out, patented or developed, or I have the inside know-how of this industry, or the two most brilliant partners in the world who are the world experts in this thing. Whatever my answer is, this is why, how and why finally I'm solve this problem conclusively. And my solution is 10 times better than anything else. Just game changing, paradigm shifting, wildly different solution. And then the fifth, the T, finally, we talk about the team. Because now that I've set up the pain and there's a lot at stake and alternatives are terrible, and here's my solution, now I need to get your credibility score on, okay, am I the right person or are we the right design, build, and sell this heroic product that I just introduced? So the team is the team, the T is the team traits and skills. Do we have the credibility and the ability to design, build, and sell this thing that I just presented? And all of that, that's the five-part HEART, the heart of the perfect pitch. In my view, that's the whole pitch. If you meet somebody in an elevator, it's really just those five things. Nothing else matters. And if you can get through those five things quickly, you can have an investor very engaged for more information. That can be condensed into 2 minutes. It can be expanded into 20 minutes with more detail.
That is how this process, Ben, because the investor, they don't have so much time. So sometimes you have to create this like mini pitch that's only 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Or something that then that's gives an intro to the investor. Then you can and would be that pitch that also it had to be a pitch, is my understanding, Ben, that it had to be not too long, maybe 10, 12 pages. And
Yes.
then if these 12 pages convince them, then is where we're gonna have the next meeting when we're gonna explore further. So tell us a little bit about this process and how a tech startup should be doing
Sure.
that effectively. Because I one thing the industry have a big problem. There are a lot of ideas out there. There are a lot of good projects, but definitely tech entrepreneurs and startup founders, they don't have any clue how to communicate with investors, how to pitch to investors, and how to speak the language that the investor understands and what they're really looking for. So they go with the vision, the mission, whatever template they find in the internet, and the language have nothing to do with the actual investor, what it really want in order to write the check. So tell us a
Right.
little bit more about this process.
Okay. So the entrepreneur will often find herself in different kinds of pitches that are different lengths. So she may be in a scheduled meeting with an investor that could be as long as an hour long, where she has a whole hour with his attention just to give him the pitch. She may be at like a demo day of an accelerator or something where those are usually like, 5 to 7 minutes on stage, multiple entrepreneurs getting up and doing their pitch. And then you can have the off the cuff, like literal elevator pitch where you bump into an investor in a coffee shop or literally in an elevator,
Or
and you
elevator pitch. I've been in London in events that they have 2 minutes, so the room is full of VCs, and then
right.
you speak for 2 minutes, talk about your company, and there everybody's listening.
Right.
Something.
So sometimes entrepreneurs fall into a trap where they're very rehearsed. They have their slide presentations and they've memorized it, and that's fine, but that doesn't help them when they're on stage for 5 minutes or worse, when they're like caught with an investor. When I was thinking about my framework, I tried to design it where it's expandable. You can use the HEART framework in 2 minutes and do the whole thing standing on one leg and just give it to an investor like super fast. I've done HEART pitches in under a minute and a half for some of my companies because I have to. I'll bump into a friend of mine who's an investor and we're busy and I'll say, "Oh, can I tell you about one of my companies?" And I'll just go bang, 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 bang. And in a half, he's interested because I did my
Wow.
HEART analysis. If you're in an accelerator program on a demo day, you can expand the HEART to 5 minutes, talk a little bit more about each of the five things, and fill up the 5 minutes. And then if you have a sit down meeting and you've done a pitch deck, which we'll talk about in a minute, the actual slide presentation, the HEART methodology fits right into that framework as well. And I even give you slides that you should use for that presentation.
Oh,
So
wow. I like this number, 10 slides. Sounds about
yeah.
right.
So the 10
Very
slide,
difficult, Ben, to do it, yeah, because you have a company, you have a vision, an idea, you need to explain everything that you just shared before. Like in mine, you giving us already 5 steps, and you're talking about 10 slides, so I only have 2 slides per step. That's challenging. It's 10 slides, but very complex what to put inside those ones, right?
so,
Because
so let's
every line matters, right?
let's be crystal clear. I want to take credit for a lot of these ideas. Most of this stuff I stole from other people. And the
Uh,
10 slide rule is a very famous rule that's been around for almost 20 years. It's called the 10-20 rule by Guy Kawasaki, who is very famous. And I'm very privileged that my book, Fever Pitch, the foreword was written by Guy Kawasaki. So I got
oh, wow.
I got like in the space
Wow.
to write the foreword to my
Ben, the
book.
book is big. How many pages have this book? Can you show me again? My goodness. Where people can buy the book? Can you please tell us the title of the book and where people can buy it? Because some people might be listening in the car or in the gym.
Yeah, yeah. The book is called For Pitch. It's a novel about scaling your vision, raising capital, and launching your startup. So I wrote a story founder who's trying to pitch his startup and can't pitch a startup to save his life until he actually needs to pitch his startup to save his life. And he gets mixed up with the mafia, and his wife is furious at him, and his
Wow.
business, his life is falling apart because he has a very strong idea and really an amazing invention, but he is not able to pitch it well enough to get money. And he's running out of time, he's running out of money, and he gets involved with the mafia and he's running for his life. They're going to kill him. It's a story. That
Yeah.
didn't happen, but it's a teaching tool to try to set up, okay, this guy who's very well-meaning, he's very well educated, he's not a bad person, but he's made some bad decisions about how to present his technology. And because of that, and only because of that, his life is falling apart. And you're sort of like yelling at him in the book, like, dude, just get the story right. And then you can get yourself out of this mess. So it's a teaching tale to sort of run him. He goes through these experiences, and without giving away the ending, along the way, those experiences teach him and people that he meets teach him the HEART methodology. he may not have enough time. He may have run out of time. He may not be able to save his life, but at least the book teaches, what the proper. I'll leave it to the reader to get to the end. The book is a fun way to sort of teach this thing. I don't need everyone to read the book. Has done amazingly well and hit #1 on Amazon, and I'm super pleased with that. But I just did it to have fun and to tell this fun story, teach something. I've also put out the HEART framework for free on the internet, and you can download a pitch generator. You can download the 10 slides that you need for your deck. Those things are all free. So I'm not trying to, keep it, secret where you have to buy the book. Secret. The book is fun, and I designed the book for not only for entrepreneurs, but for their spouses and for family members to sort of experience what the crazy life of a founder is. This book is even crazier than normal, but just it does reflect on some of the challenges that are weird that happen only to tech entrepreneurs, so that people can have a little bit of empathy for us and for those people who take that path and have fun reading something. But if you just want the framework, you can go to feverpitchbook.com. That's where you can buy the book or see links to get it on Amazon. But you can also take a right turn and download the free playbook and the free pitch generator. Everything is there on the website. But getting back to Guy Kawasaki. So Guy Kawasaki is this famous investor and author. He was the chief evangelist at Apple under Steve Jobs. And about 15 years ago, he invented this rule called the 10-20-30 rule of startup pitches. 10 slides, 20 minutes, and no smaller than 30-point font on the slides. Those are very challenging because most people, including the guy in my book, when he starts off, he has a pitch deck that's 39 slides long. Like
everyone, you see pitch decks out there that look
right.
They want to tell you everything, yeah.
Right. Now the problem is that people like me, investors, and this is proven by data from DocSend. Do you know how long an investor spends on an entire pitch deck if you send it to them by email? Guess. I mean, you'd be shocked, but the used to be 3.5 minutes. Now it's closer to 2.5 minutes. So the investor is just flipping through that deck, spending a few seconds on every slide. If it's jam-packed with all sorts of text and graphics and
too much information, look like a newspaper, who gonna you
right.
need to make life easy for the investors, right?
Correct. So Guy Kawasaki came up with this 10-20-30 rule long before me. And I've used it and I've asked most to use it. As much as I love Guy Kawasaki, he's an incredible guy, no pun intended. But I always felt that the model was not fully complete, that there was something, it wasn't enough, that it was missing something. Like he had given us a very important gift. The 10 slide constraint was a very valuable constraint, but he didn't exactly tell us exactly what needed to go into the slides. So that's when I started working a couple years ago on trying to see if I could figure out what was missing. And that got me to the HEART methodology. So what I'm saying is take the 10-20-30 rule, add the HEART elements into the 10 slides at the right place, and you have the perfect pitch. Then I wrote
Ben, tell us about the 10-20-30 rule, what that means. So the first pitch deck has to have 10 pages, and then what happened?
10 slides,
10 slides,
20 minutes. Even if
10 slides, 20-minute pitch, and the 30 for what is that form?
30 is 30-point font on the slides. The text on the slides.
This part understand, Ben, what that means 30-point font?
The size of the letters on the pitch deck, on the slide.
30 size.
30-point is the size of this text.
I get it. Yeah, because read, I get it. Yeah.
People think it's a joke. It's a joke.
No. I saw a lot of pitch. I see a lot of pitch decks, and you're 100% right. You know, one of my favorite pitch decks is Airbnb, right? It's about 10 slides like this. It's so beautiful, so simple, and the font and everything. And I mean, they did raise a lot of money with that pitch deck. So
that pitch is legendary, and one of the things that
I love it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
I use it myself as a model. Yeah.
One of the things that's fascinating about that deck, if I'm not mistaken, every deck has like the projection slide where the revenue in year 5 is some crazy big number. We call it the hockey stick, right? I believe that in Airbnb's deck, that when Brian Chesky wrote that deck, he put a crazy number in year 5. Airbnb was so successful that its year 5 revenue was beyond even the year 5 number that Chesky predicted.
Really?
Because even he didn't understand like how amazing.
How powerful. So
Exactly.
Ben, now I did make a statement. This is the answer that everybody's waiting for. Yeah. So the statement that I made when we start this broadcast, now I know more because I hear you for more than half an hour now. So I got more knowledge now. But correct,
Give you
Ron.
credit. You have more
I'm gonna
patience.
repeat the
You have
statement.
you
Yeah,
have more
again.
patience.
And the and the days that VC inview just foresee a story and a pitch deck with no with anything built. I thought that those gone and it doesn't exist anymore. And through our conversation today, I had to accept that I'm wrong. That is actually possible. Something that I thought that is not possible. So tell us, Ben, on that statement, right? Is it really possible just to have, if you have a breakthrough idea? We're talking about the next Airbnb. We're talking about the next revolutionary that would disrupt the market. If you had the idea and you can articulate it effectively in a pitch deck, even if all that you have, and maybe you have few lines of code in your garage, it is possible that an investor like you, specializing really, really, really early, writes a check, and so for how much, or more things gone to the equation? And if that's so, can you please describe them for
Well, like
our
I said,
audience? A lot
yeah.
of tech entrepreneurs hear this podcast, by the way, so everybody's taking notes. Everybody take notes and listen to the podcast twice.
So, so there are different kinds of investors, right? I describe
Mm-hmm.
myself at the beginning of the show as an inception stage investor.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't, there are not that many of us that are out
No
there,
many, no many, close to zero. Yeah,
but I'm trying.
I can count with my hands. The specialized because you are even not even seed. It's like a pre-seed. Yeah.
It's called, my competition are what we call angel investors, or what other people call FFF, friends, family, and fools. So those are the people either professionals like me who are looking for these inception
Mm-hmm.
deals, or angel investors who have an appetite to invest for their own,
Mm-hmm.
fun into early stage entrepreneurs that they like, or friends and family who trust you and will
Mm-hmm.
give you money to start. Those are all the kinds of people that you can go to for just an idea with no code and no revenue. You're right. Most VCs don't invest at that first
Don't even
stage. And
look at it. Don't even
right,
touch it. Won't even
most
hear.
VCs will be happy to do the next round or two rounds, and that's fine. And I work
Mm-hmm.
closely with them, and I'm happy to be friends with them. And I like to show them my companies so that they can do the next round. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that they have a different risk tolerance, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, you have to know how to find not just a good investor, but an investor who is open for
Suit
business.
and it
Your
suit
stage.
your needs, right,
Right.
Ben? 100%. But then, Ben, on your end, right? Let's say that hypothetically, a certain company comes to you that is revolutionary, and they have the deck, and know what they're doing, and they have the vision, and they organize this in a clear way that you can understand, right? And let's say that even they develop a product. Let's say that even they have one client, or even they have zero clients, or everything. My question to you is, obviously depend on the technology, but
Yeah.
it is possible that they can find funding, and if that's so, what type of range of capital we're talking about? Of course, depends on the technology and what disrupted is and what market is, but can you give us a range so people, our audience, can have an understanding? Okay, what can, because I see a lot, Ben, that people have a piece of paper, this and that they need 2 million, 3 million. It doesn't make sense. So tell us a little bit, a little bit more, and also how distributed for this investor, because exactly as you described, this investor comes early than anybody, is taking the whole risk. It's actually the person that is giving credibility to the startup, because the startup has zero credibility with the startup founder. Nobody knows them, nobody knows who they are, and Biden said they will never be able to raise anything. So that investors is bring the money, they're gonna give it because you invested, not because the founder, and that's the truth. Well, that's my opinion. Okay, let me don't say that is the truth. But these early investors bring a lot of credibility. So tell how the distribution of shares, funds should be in order to is fair for everyone, because in this podcast several tech millionaires and several venture capitalists, a lot of discussions going on, because tech multimillionaire that I interviewed yesterday, with 20 years of experience and several exits. It was sharing that the VC model is very the tech entrepreneur. On the other hand, you have the VCs with, it's a high risk. Move nothing to the next Uber it requires a lot of expertise, time, effort, and so tell us what is
Okay.
realistic, so everybody have an understanding.
Okay, so hard to answer that question. There's normal and then there are crazy exceptions. So look at some of the crazy exceptions. I mean, some of your listeners may be following what's happening. AI is completely bonkers. And just
Yeah.
just a couple of weeks ago, a woman, I think the CTO of OpenAI or Anthropic, left her company and started a new startup, and she raised her inception round was a $2 billion round. Now
Wow.
that's crazy.
Inception.
Yeah,
Wow.
because so a lot of it depends on who you are. If you are incredibly famous, you can raise billions. And a few years ago, I don't know if you remember, in the first few months of COVID, there was a famous startup that lasted for a very short time called Quibi. Quibi was meant to be like Netflix for mobile phones. Fine, who cares? Quibi was founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the most powerful producer in Hollywood, and Meg Whitman, who had been the CEO of Hewlett Packard and had run for governor of California. These were two incredibly famous people who decided to do the startup. So when they did their little startup, they raised $1.7 billion
Wow.
to get the company off the ground. Now that's crazy, but that has
And look,
happened.
and it lasts very little, yeah.
Yeah, that company ended up failing, which was a whole separate story.
Mm.
But if you are incredibly famous, you can raise hundreds of dollars or even over $1 billion, but that's not normal. And that's probably
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. Very good. So if you
Probably
are just a normal tech
right.
employee from a corporate that develop a software and want to raise the funds, so clearly
Right.
nobody knows you. You don't have
Right. So,
credibility.
so
So
those are the people that I'm talking to. And in those situations, it's usually, and again, the costs are going, every month. So it's cheaper and cheaper to start a startup, which means you less money. So you can start a startup today with, $1 million, even a couple $100,000. You could get a startup off the ground and build a product. So you don't
absolutely, with the use of AI, magic you can do with this kind of money.
exactly. So you don't have to spend a lot of time talking to bozos like me. You just need to find some idiot like me to give you a couple $100,000 or $1 million, and that could be it. You could be done for a while and get all the way to product market fit, and that would be amazing for the entrepreneur. It would be amazing for the investor too. And in those situations, when you're raising, that inception capital of a couple $100,000 or $1 million or $2 million, which is a lot for me and you, but it's still not like a massive, it's not $1 billion. In those situations, you're typically, so your second question is how many shares are you giving up?
Yeah, in order to make it fair for everyone.
Right. So the investor needs to be not greedy. Like I don't always get as much as I could get because I leave enough in the company for the founders to be able to
It has
raise in
to
the
be
future.
sustainable.
Correct. And to be
That
incentivized.
was the point of the tech entrepreneur that said he was a statement. He was sharing that the model doesn't work because a lot of these and investors they take too much of the company and everything. I don't think we have different type of VC, different type of investors,
Yeah.
and everyone is entitled to ask for what they say. I don't think that the VC model is not for the tech entrepreneur, because otherwise the Ubers and the big companies they didn't exist, and all those tech entrepreneurs exited successfully. However, Ben, we have to be the other side as well. That sometimes the investors take too much. That there is nothing left. If the company get to a billion, very little gets for the founders, right? When you do A, B, C, D, C round. So tell us how for normal people, yeah, what would be a fair distribution? Let's say part which is you call it investment incubation very early, yeah, and then more or less what would be an ideal win-win distribution share for parties involved.
It depends heavily on the leverage of the
Mhm.
founder. Do they have multiple offers? Do they have only one investor who's interested? often the only investor who's interested.
No, at your stage, I can guarantee that you're the only
Yeah,
one because, like you, I only know 5 people. So,
right. So I have a lot of leverage.
you know,
I can get
leverage
a
you
bank.
will have for sure.
Yeah. So I would say rule of thumb is going to be anywhere between you're going to give up about 20 to 40% of your company every round in the beginning. When you get later, if you become successful, then it goes down a lot. You're raising money for only small percentages of the company because so many big investors want to get into the company. But in those first couple of years, you have to be ready to absorb dilution of 20 to 40% every time. And so after a couple of rounds, the founder who started off with 80% of her company is holding, 25% of her company. And she can get very upset about that until you tell her, yeah, but you held a couple of years ago, you had 80% of a company that was
That
worth
was
$1 million.
zero.
And now
That
you have
was the.
25% of a company that's worth
There
$400
you
million.
go. There you
Which one
go.
would you rather have? So as long as the company is successfully growing and increasing its valuation, dilution is natural and it's a little bit hard to swallow for some entrepreneurs, but they start to do the calculation and they realize that having a smaller amount of a huge thing is better than having a huge amount of a tiny thing. Um, and when you get to IPO and you look at the roster of the shareholders, you see that some of these very famous founder CEOs hold 5% of their company, but they're billionaires because they're owning 5% of a multi-billion-dollar company. When they started off, they held 80% of the company, but it wasn't worth anything. So dilution is not a bad thing as long as the company keeps growing in value.
Absolutely. And bringing the right people with the right expertise because even Ben, that I'm glad that you brought this up because we have to share reality. Tech entrepreneurs, they get very in love with, they get emotionally attached, right? They wrote this code, they wrote this software, and it value a lot to them, right? Whatever they create or they're thinking to create, they're emotionally attached. And of course, the especially first time entrepreneurs, that they are product in love with the product. Second time founded, they're more in love with marketing and sales than actually the product itself. The product is a secondary thing that they create. They always think in road to market. But those first time founded, Ben, they are in love with the product. It's all about the product. They want to make the product better. They're so in love. They want to work to make it so amazing, and at the end, and for them it worth a lot, right?
Yeah.
But value, when it comes to investor, completely, and it has exactly the proposition, what kind of problem you solve, what is the market size, how much can we set this for, what is the competition, how disruptive you are, how sticky is the product. So a lot of things goes in the risk that you guys are taking, right? So we be fair to say, realistically, this tech founder that nobody knows, that doesn't have credibility, but have an idea and a vision, something disruptive, it has to be prepared to give away between 20 to 40% if realistically
Each time, each round,
each
over and over.
round, but at least in this one, the beginning, no, because maybe
Yeah.
that this one to take off the ground, because after you take off the ground and now you have some traction, everything, and now maybe they have someone on board like you, completely different ball game because you can have win the second round and everything. Maybe they can ask less, but at least in this very, very early first stage,
Yeah.
they have to be prepared to give away between 20 to 40. Otherwise, it doesn't work for the early stage investor, right?
Right. Now, clearly,
I mean, we're
absolutely.
speaking global, we're speaking in general terms, but it's
Yeah.
important, Ben, because we see to me, right? They're looking for fun, they're looking for this, looking for that, but they have a expectation that they're not realistic, and
Yeah.
it's a big challenge in the history, and a lot of good projects, a lot of good technology disappear and see the light only because the founder doesn't have the realistic expectation, and all that they see is no, Uber exit for so many money, Uber worth a lot of millions, Facebook, look the Amazon, do this, my company is gonna make a billion, and Spotify, where that it doesn't really work like that. So it's a lot of risk involved. Last message that for the startup founders, Ben. Number one, if somebody's in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works. Second, where can they find the book? And third, I advise them before to talk to you. They actually read your book.
Yeah.
Decent pitch. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, like I said, what I'm really trying to push is the framework. You don't have to read the book to get it. The book is fun, The book is called Fever Pitch. You can find it at feverpitchbook.com. But at the
So how
same
where they
website,
can find the same website, the framework is that's
correct.
fantastic.
Just go down the page and the free playbook. You can find it for free. But if you want to enjoy it, read the book. I would love for people to enjoy the
So
book.
what's the
It's
website again? Name it.
feverpitchbook.com. It's also available on Amazon. It's available anywhere you want. So that's where you can find out information about the framework. And there's tons of information in the playbook. There's lots of explanatory videos, audio, just explaining why I feel so this content and why this stuff needs to be on this slide and this stuff needs to be on this slide and this is slide 4 and this is slide 3. Like it's very carefully thought out and it's backed up by a ton of research. We did a lot of research before we produced these materials, and we polled VCs, and the VCs told us that it wasn't just me. Like VCs are very fed up with poorly presented startups. And like you said, I say something similar. I believe that in the graveyard of failed startups, there's a section of that you and I never heard of because those founders had a good idea but could not tell the story straight
Could
and
never
did not get
articulate
funded.
the idea, and that's how far they got. And in that statement, I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. So
And
Ben, and
that's
if
my
somebody
why.
want to contact you, want to send you the pitch deck, any email, how any through your website,
I'm
LinkedIn,
just
how they
I'm,
can
I'm
send you
just
stuff?
I'm just one guy. I'm probably not going to look at every check that somebody
I can
sends me.
tell.
It's too much.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You can find me at benwiener.net, which is benwer.net. So that's my author webpage, and you can see information about me and some of the other stuff I've written and get in touch with me that way. There's a forum. I'll get those messages somehow, or my assistant will get them. So I'm not really here to pitch myself. I'm here
I
to
get it. I
mostly.
get it. Yeah.
But if anybody feels it, I can tell them I'm happy for them to reach out, and I'll try to respond as quickly as I can.
Thank you
I
so
can't,
much, man.
as much as I am a pitch deck junkie, I can't commit to reviewing every pitch deck
The
that
guest.
people can try. And I really think I'm not being a jerk, but like almost anything I'm going to say is playbook that I published. That's why I put that information out there. Like, don't pitch me your pitch deck. Go through this playbook, and that's the equivalent of me giving you my insights. Anything I would tell you is already published in that playbook, and you're going to squeeze me for everything you can get out of me for free by going through the playbook and the pitch generator. And then if you like it, checking out Fever Pitch, the book as well. It's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of
And
other
at least
lessons.
if you're looking for funding out there, and you have to do the pitch, you follow a process that works for people that been this, for a long time. And actually, like we talk about the pitch of Airbnb, pitch dev for Airbnb, there are models out there that works. And if you're looking for funding, follow models that work. And not because it has 10 pages, that means that it's easy. It requires a lot of storytelling, a lot of understanding, a lot of experience. So, Ben, thank you so much. These have been fantastic. I learned a lot. I learned a lot today. I had to say, yeah, that you are a and we have interviewed, like I said, over 100 million on the space from different this podcast. But you are very rare piece, and I'm very happy to meet you. And for all of you following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of how brave entrepreneurs like Ben break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.